Hey Don, who the shell are these people? Let's turtleize them.
No, Raph, that's our audience.
Oh, wait, let me start over. Cowabunga! Would you believe me if I told you that you consumed acids every day? Probably. Would you believe me if I told you my brothers and I became the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because of acid? Of course.
No, that was radioactive waste.
Acid, radioactive waste, same thing.
No, it's not.
Fine, whatever, you always were the nerd. But, would you believe me if I told you this K was formed by an acid reaction? Probably not.
Acids really are great compounds. In fact, they are so great that multiple scientists have come up with multiple definitions for an acid. Arrhenius defined an acid as a hydrogen-containing compound that forms hydrogen ions in solution. According to Bronsted and Lowry, an acid is a proton donator, and furthermore, a Lewis acid is an electron pair acceptor.
But for our purposes, we'll use the Bronsted-Lowry definition. This is the self-ionization of water, where the acid water donates a proton to the base water, forming hydronium and hydroxide.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Raph. We gotta name these suckers first.
Right. So basically, if the anion of the acid does not contain oxygen, the acid is named using the prefix hydro, plus the root of the element, or compound, plus the suffix ic. And if the anion does contain oxygen, the suffix is ic if the anion ends in ate, and aus if the anion ends in ite are used.
Digest. See, it's funny because there is hydrochloric acid within the stomach. Now, chemical properties. Strong acids completely dissociate in water, and in doing so, form hydronium ions. Some examples of strong acids are hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid, and perchloric acid.
Oh yeah, I put some of that in Mikey's pizza last night.
Raph!
Kidding. So what happens when the acid has a stronger attraction to a proton? In other words, what if the hydronium concentration were not as great? Well, then the acid is weak. That means the acid does not completely ionize. Examples are citric acid, acetic acid, and carbonic acid.
Ah, now that was in our soda. Carbonic acid. Who knew that the carbon dioxide in this weak acid would form hydrogen ions when reacting in water, and that an enzyme called carbonic anhydrase sped up this process, resulting in acidification of the fluids in the nerve endings of the mouth, causing a sharp sparkling sensation.
Apparently you did.
And on to the pH scale.
What the shell? I thought we said no math.
Don't worry, we won't go too far in depth. Basically, the pH scale is a negative log scale of the hydronium concentration. Using the ion product constant, 1 times 10 to the minus 14, we can find the concentration of hydronium and therefore find the pH. If the pH is less than 7, the solution is acidic.
And we could go on and on about how acid-base reactions form water and how bases have pHs higher than 7, yada yada. But we don't like bases. It's contrary to how we became the TMNT.
For the last time, that was radioactive just forget it.
Indeed, acids are amazing.
They can cause damage by corroding by means of oxidation or double replacement, or they can be used to create fertilizer and Leo's favorite salt and vinegar chips. I hope you guys learned something today.
Avast ye, swab, and prepare to meet my trusty blades.
Hey Raph, you like penicillin on your pizza? I found some 3-day-old one.